Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to unpack the career, the strategy, and the cultivated elegance of a major 90s star.
We're talking about Nici Sterling.
Exactly. She was this figure who brought a very unique, very profitable British sophistication to the U.S. adult film industry when it was incredibly competitive. Okay, let's unpack this. The source material on her is fascinating. It covers everything from, this really bizarre start she had in the UK tabloid world all the way to her Hall of Fame induction.
It's not just a timeline of her life, is it? It's more of an analysis of how someone can build a brand and just dominate a niche.
A very specific niche.
Yeah, and it's really a study in strategic branding. For those of you who might not know, Sterling was a huge name in the mid to late 90s.
Oh, massive.
She was born January 17, 1968 in Epsom, Surrey, England. And right away, there's this little biographical question mark.
The name, right?
The birth name, yeah.
Right.
Some sources say Nicola Rachel Norman, others say Samantha Jane Stewart.
Which is kind of the perfect start to a story about a crafted persona.
It really is. But what's not in doubt is her output. She was in nearly 300 films or scenes between 1994 and 2000. It's that jump from the UK to the US that's so interesting because she treated it like a business plan.
Right. And let's rewind a bit because her preparation for all this started somewhere completely different. She was a formally trained dancer in London.
Jazz, tap, and ballet.
Yeah, she even did musical theater, so she had this discipline, this stage presence, long before she ever stepped in front of a different kind of camera.
That's a key detail. That training gave her this grace and control that really set her apart later on.
It did. But that transition from, ballet shoes to her UK modeling career, that was a sharp turn.
A very sharp turn. She started out as a reader's wife in British top-shelf magazines.
Which, for listeners outside the UK, is a very specific kind of market.
Exactly. Pictorial-focused, not quite like the U.S. video industry at the time. She was mostly a topless and nude model for the Daily Sport newspaper.
And this is where the story gets really wild. Her actual debut into hardcore was, it was pure tabloid sensationalism.
The competition.
The competition. The Daily Sport ran this contest where 10 readers could win the chance to be in a filmed orgy with her.
You can't make this stuff up. It wasn't a quiet studio debut. It was a media stunt that they then packaged and sold as a movie.
So from the very beginning, she understood how to turn notoriety into a product.
Absolutely. So with that explosive UK debut behind her, she makes the big move.
She pivots to the United States in the mid-90s. Was that because the UK just didn't have the same kind of film industry?
Pretty much. The UK scene was small scale. LA was the global hub. So she moved there in her early 20s, first for mainstream modeling.
But that didn't last long.
No. She quickly started exotic dancing at the Rhino Room in Van Nuys, which put her right in the middle of it all.
The epicenter of the industry.
Yeah. And she officially entered films in 1994. She was 26. Met a director named Jim Enright, though she later married the performer Wild Oscar.
And her very first U.S. film really leaned into her identity, didn't it?
Oh, completely. It was called Buttman's British Bouncin' Babes. They put it right there in the title.
So at 26, she's not some naive newcomer. She has performance training. She has UK tabloid experience. Her rise was about more than just luck. It was branding.
100%.
Yeah.
Her whole appeal was that sophisticated London accent and posh beauty.
And that was a very strategic decision.
It was. You have to think about what else was popular at the time. She was the absolute counterpoint to the American Girl Next Door look. She was selling this high-status, posh Brit fantasy.
A fantasy she basically created.
She did. She used aliases for a bit, but the Nici Sterling brand was all about that upper-class feel. It made her stand out immediately.
And we know for a fact it was manufactured. There's this 1997 interview with AVN where she just flat out admits it.
That she exaggerated the whole posh persona. Yeah.
And what's brilliant is why she did it.
Posh spice.
Posh spice. Victoria Beckham was a global phenomenon. Sterling saw that the market had this built-in demand for a sexy, sophisticated British woman, and she just stepped right into that role.
It's an incredible example of spotting a gap in the fantasy market that was created by mainstream pop culture.
Totally. And the strategy went beyond just the accent. We know she's 5'6", auburn hair, blue eyes, but she also made business decisions about her body.
Implants,
See, implants. Sometime in 1995, she got them specifically to get more work. That's not vanity. That's That's a capital investment in her own brand.
Every single move was calculated to maximize her value in that U.S. market.
And it absolutely worked. She started working with everyone. Vivid, VCA, Metro.
All the big studios,
Mm.
and with all the big names like Janet Jameson, Tara Patrick, Peter North. You don't appear in almost 300 scenes in 6 years unless you were in constant demand.
So let's talk about the actual performances. When you look at the reviews from back then, what was the thing that really set her apart?
It was always this contrast.
Mm-hmm.
She could do these incredibly intense, raw scenes, anal group scenes, but she did them with this sense of elegance.
That's the word that always comes up, elegance.
Right. Critics would say things like a sophisticated performer with raw intensity, or call her the quintessential sophisticated English beauty.
It's such an unusual combination, isn't it? Usually intensity is just praised for being, intense, but she layered something else on top of it.
And that's the key. The elegance didn't soften the intensity. It actually made it more shocking, more alluring. The Rialto report said she had a refined yet fiery presence. That's it right there.
Even her peers saw it. We have that quote from Jenna Jameson in 97. She said she found Sterling a little intimidating because she is so beautiful, pure class. So her competition saw her exactly as she was marketing herself.
Yeah, and this reputation wasn't just about looks. It was about technical skill. And we should probably mention this specific detail the sources bring up.
The balls deep thing.
The balls deep thing.
Yeah.
She was known for being able to perform that, both vaginally and anally.
Which, while it's graphic, it speaks to her physical commitment. It proves the raw intensity wasn't just marketing copy. She was really all in.
She was absolutely all in. She wasn't just posing. That's why she was considered one of the most exploring porn talents of the 90s. And you see it in her big films, like The Wicked One or The Devil in Miss Jones 5.
So you take all that, the brand, the look, the commitment, and you look at the 6-year peak of her career. So what does this all mean? Well, it means she got a lot of awards.
A lot of awards. The recognition was almost immediate and proved the strategy worked.
Let's just run through the highlights for everyone listening because it's pretty impressive. 1996, so just 2 years in, she wins AVN's Best Looking Starlet.
And XRCO's Starlet of the Year.
Both in the same year. That basically crowns you as the breakout star of the moment. And she won a bunch of group scene awards over the years, too.
But the real validation came later, after she'd retired. In 2006, she gets into the XRCO Hall of Fame.
Followed by the AVN Hall of Fame in 2007.
And that's a big deal. She was only the third British woman to get that honor, after Kay Parker and Taylor Wayne. Her place in history is secure.
And outside of her work, we know a little about her personal life. She married Wild Oscar. The sources are a bit shaky on the year, 91 or 94. And they have a daughter, Alexandra.
And they were pretty open about the challenges of being a married couple working in that industry. Having that stability at home is a really interesting part of her story.
It is. And then there are these other little biographical details that they clash so perfectly with that refined on-screen persona.
Like her sexuality.
Right. She openly identifies as bisexual, said she'd had a relationship with a woman when she was a teenager.
Which is a very humanizing detail under all that polish.
Yeah.
And there's more. We know she used to take sex requests from fans through her website.
A very direct line to her audience.
Yeah. And then there's the ultimate fantasy.
Which is the most jarring thing of all when you think of the posh Brit image. Her stated ultimate fantasy was to fuck and suck her way out of a ticket from a nasty cop.
And that's the whole package. Right there. That's the tension. The elegant lady who has these incredibly raw, transgressive fantasies. She knew exactly what she was selling.
And she knew when to stop selling it, too. She retired in 2001 at around 33. It wasn't a burnout. It felt like another planned strategic move.
A controlled exit, yeah. She wanted to pursue some mainstream acting and modeling, and she and her husband had started a business.
And now,
as of 2025, she's 57, living a very private life, probably in the U.S. No social media, nothing. She just stepped away.
But the legacy is huge. She's often put in that top tier, considered one of the greatest British stars to ever make it in the U.S.
Right up there with Kay Parker. And her films are still really popular in vintage circles. People value that unique mix of grace and intensity.
So we've gone from her start as a trained dancer through that chaotic daily sport debut to the calculated creation of the posh brand in America, leveraging the Spice Girls, no less, and finally to her status as a decorated Hall of Famer. A true marketing genius.
Which leaves us with a final question for you to think about. Given all the effort Nici Sterling put into crafting and monetizing this specific posh persona, one she admitted was an exaggeration, what does her success really tell us about what audiences wanted in the mid-90s? How much was the demand for a curated national fantasy, and was that fantasy actually more valuable than reality?